Some people don't leave you, they free you. Let that sink in for a moment, my friends, because some of you are still mourning over people who threw you out like yesterday's garbage. They didn't say goodbye. They didn't give you closure. They just vanished, like you were nothing. But let me tell you something brutal and honest. If someone can walk away that easily, they were never built to walk beside you in the first place. Hey folks, imagine this. You were the flame, and they were just enjoying your warmth. But the second it got too hot, too real, they ran, and now they're out there pretending like they're living their best life, smiling for the camera, acting like they upgraded. Meanwhile, you're left in the cold, replaying every word, every moment, asking yourself what you did wrong. But what if I told you, you didn't lose them, you finally lost the lie? The illusion. The person who never actually saw your worth in the first place. When a woman or man masters their emotions and remembers their worth, they don't chase love. They attract it, and they don't need to speak it. They become it. You see, love isn't something you go begging for. That's what desperate people do when they've forgotten who they are. But not you, not anymore. This pain you're in, it's not the end. It's the beginning of a different version of you, a version that doesn't settle, a version that doesn't lower their value to be kept. This pain is your invitation to rise. Most people don't get it. They chase, they blow up phones, they send paragraph after paragraph like their self-respect is attached to that seen status. They cry over people who already emotionally left weeks ago. And with every desperate text, every begging call, every second of silence they break, they lose more power. It's like trying to put out a wildfire with gasoline. The more you pour, the worse it burns. My friends, hear me. You were not made to be anyone's doormat. You are not here to be someone's temporary convenience. You are not garbage to be picked up when they feel like it. If someone treats you like an option, you remove yourself from their equation. Period. No explanations, no final messages, just silence. Because silence is louder than begging. Detachment is scarier than confrontation. And peace is the biggest power move of all. You don't need 100 affirmations or a therapist's approval to get this. What you need is guts. What you need is to stop dancing for the crumbs and realize you were always the whole damn feast. And when you finally stop reaching out, when you finally stop needing them to understand, apologize, or come back, that's when the energy flips. That's when they panic. That's when they check your profile, stalk your stories, text you out of nowhere. Because they can feel it. They can feel that they no longer have access to you. And let me say this loud for the ones in the back. It's not about getting them back. It's about getting you back, the real you, the one that doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and doesn't settle, the one who walks away in silence and lets their absence do all the talking. So stay with me, because this video, it's not for emotional beggars, it's for warriors, for the reborn, for the ones who rise from heartbreak with fire in their eyes and peace in their soul. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. You are the proof. Write this in the comments right now. I don't chase. I attract. Say it like you mean it. Say it so your past hears it. And if you feel this in your bones, press the like button, subscribe, and let the world know you're no longer the same. You are becoming unshakable, unreachable, undeniable. Stay silent. Stay strong. Stay rising. Lesson 1. Shut your mouth so they hear your absence, not your begging. You don't throw diamonds in the trash unless you're too blind to know their worth. Let's start right there, my friends, because some of you have let people treat you like trash, And worse, you believed them. You let someone drag you through the dirt like you were disposable. You let them walk away like you were some broken toy, a used-up doormat they could wipe their feet on one last time before leaving. And now you sit in silence, but not the kind of silence that empowers. No, the kind that aches, the kind that screams behind the quiet, the kind that begs for a reply, even when your lips don't move. But let me ask you this. What if your silence could be your revenge, not the weak kind that hopes they notice? I'm talking about the kind of silence that haunts, that burns, that makes them question everything. Imagine walking into a house where a TV used to blare every day. Music, laughter, chaos, all of it. And then, boom, gone. Stillness, silence so loud it buzzes in your ears. That's what your emotional silence can become. A void they can't unfeel. A sudden absence that forces them to sit with the truth. You're no longer there to applaud them, fix them, love them while they ignore you. You've vanished, and that emptiness is the message. Let me scold you gently, my friend. How dare you forget who you are? How dare you hand over your power just to get a few crumbs of affection from someone who couldn't even see your light? You used to shine like fire, but you dimmed yourself for someone who couldn't even handle a spark. You were never too much. They were just too small. So small, in fact, they needed to shrink you just to feel big. And now here you are, wondering if you should text, wondering if silence makes you look weak. But listen carefully. Silence isn't weakness. It's war. Strategic, psychological, a full withdrawal of your emotional energy. And when they're used to feeding on your love, your messages, your validation, they starve without it. Your silence becomes louder than every word you've ever said. Every "I miss you," every "can we talk?" All of it gets replaced with nothing. And nothing is deafening when someone's ego is starving. That's why this works. It's not magic, it's mind. When you go silent, you're not disappearing. You're disarming them. You're breaking the pattern. You're sending a clear message. I'm no longer begging for space in someone's life who can't see my value. Epictetus said it best. First, understand the meaning of what you want to say, then speak. But when silence is the message, let them do the interpretation. Let their own mind torment them with questions. Why isn't she texting? Why didn't he watch my story? Why isn't there a reaction anymore? Let them spiral, because you're rising. There was a girl I knew, blocked on everything, left in digital silence like a ghost. And you know what she did? Nothing. No tears online. No just checking in text. No birthday message. No pretending to be cool with it. She fell silent. And while the world thought she was broken, she was building her body, her business, her mind. She turned her pain into power, her silence into sacred growth. And 2 months later, he returned, weak, confused, dreaming of her, wanting to check in. But it was too late, because she was no longer in the same emotional zip code. And that can be you. Every time you break your silence to explain, to justify, to prove yourself, you hand your power back. You whisper, "I still need you to feel whole." And that scent, that desperation, it's repulsive. No one respects someone who hands over their soul just to be chosen. You want them back? Then disappear. Not out of weakness, but out of such self-respect that your absence becomes magnetic. Let them feel what life is like without your light. Let them sit in the dark and miss the warmth they took for granted. Silence, my friends, is not giving up. It's cutting off the oxygen to a fire that only burned you. It's a soul detox. And yes, it will be hard at first. You'll feel the itch to reach out, the ache of being unseen. But if you stay strong, that discomfort turns into power. That craving turns into clarity. And soon, you're not hoping they return. You're hoping they don't. because the new you would never accept that trash back into your temple. So do it. Go silent, grow quietly, become so focused on your own rise that their name starts to sound like a warning, not a wish. And if you feel this deep in your bones, write this in the comments right now. I don't chase, I command. Show them, show yourself, show the world, and don't forget, press the like button, subscribe, and stay with me. This is just lesson 1. The next one will hit even harder. Lesson 2. Rip yourself away, so they feel the empty space that replaces you. You want to know what gets under their skin. It's not you crying. It's not the midnight texts. It's not even the long messages explaining how much they hurt you. It's your silence, your absence, that deep, cutting void you leave behind when you suddenly stop feeding them the attention they once swallowed like sugar. Because listen to me carefully, when you pull away, that's when they start to move closer. And not because you're playing games, but because you've finally stopped playing yourself. Some of you still confuse detachment with coldness, but detachment isn't cruelty. It's control, it's composure. It's the moment you finally say, I don't have to react, I don't have to chase, I don't have to explain myself to someone who already knew how to love me and chose not to. That's where the shift begins. You're not ignoring them because you're bitter. You're not going silent because you're wounded. You're doing it because you're done offering your worth to people who treat it like background noise. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine someone drinks sweet coffee every morning, day after day. They expect it. Their body craves it. Then one day, no sugar. Just bitter silence. At first, they can't name what's wrong, but something feels off. That's what happens when you pull back your attention. You were the sugar in their routine. You were the warmth, the validation, the comfort. And then you disappeared. And even if they're too proud to admit it, they miss it. They miss you. But now you're an unknown, and the human mind, especially the male mind, hates the unknown. See, you were always there, always answering, always watching, always posting something that hinted at your pain. You made yourself predictable, and predictable never gets chased. Predictable gets taken for granted. But now, you've flipped the script. You're not where you used to be. You're not sending heart emojis. You're not checking who liked what. You've gone ghost, and not out of weakness, but out of power. And that's reverse psychology at its rawest. Not manipulation, just energy alignment. A natural consequence of stepping into your power. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." And right here, that means not playing the role of the emotional beggar, not acting out, not trying to match their games. It means standing firm in silence. Moving forward with grace, building yourself so high they need binoculars to even see you again. Let me ask you something. When they disappeared, when they replaced you, when they humiliated you or made you feel like trash, did they hesitate? No. So why are you hesitating now? Why are you still checking their page, still reading into the stories, still clinging to memories that only brought you pain? It's time to do what they never expected. Nothing. That's right. Nothing. No messages, no stories, no replies, just quiet growth. Because when you change your behavior without warning, it shakes them. It rattles their comfort. The person who once needed them suddenly doesn't. And that imbalance, that missing puzzle piece, it drives them insane. Let me tell you about a woman who did just that. She cried for days, wrote poetry drenched in pain, posted sad songs. Until one morning, she stopped. She deleted everything. She started running every morning, opened her own small business, shifted her entire focus inward. And 2 weeks later, The man who ghosted her while dating someone else messaged her, "Are you okay?" He didn't care when she was bleeding in public, but her silence, that got his attention, because her absence meant something had changed. He couldn't read her anymore, couldn't predict her, and when people can't read you, they obsess over you. So no, you're not being heartless, you're being smart, you're repositioning, you're telling the universe, "I've outgrown where they left me." Your silence is your new posture, your new power. It's your way of saying, I don't need to be loud to be heard. You're not trying to prove anything anymore. You are the proof. And when they come crawling back, and they will, it won't be because of anything you said. It'll be because of everything you didn't. Now it's time for you to write this in the comments. I don't react, I rise. Say it like you own it. Say it like you're done playing small. Say it to the version of you that stayed far too long. Lesson 3. Starve them of what they took for granted and watch their mind spiral. You want to know the truth that no one dares to tell you. You were too available, too easy, too damn predictable. That's why they stopped seeing you. Because in this world, what is always there becomes background noise. You could have been the most loving, loyal, radiant person in their life. But if you were always one text away, always one "How are you?" from showing up, you became invisible, like air. And nobody thanks the air until they can't breathe. Listen up, my friends. The law is simple. What is rare becomes desired. What is common becomes ignored. That's not cruelty. That's psychology. That's survival. That's how the human brain is wired. The moment your attention becomes a guarantee, it loses power. But when you take it away, suddenly you're not just a person. You're a mystery, a question mark in their mind that won't stop blinking. Let's talk real. Imagine bread on the table every day. Same spot, same smell. Nobody cares. Now take it away. Suddenly, they're hungry. They're confused. They're wondering why it's missing, when it's coming back, and what they did to lose it. That's the power of emotional scarcity. It doesn't shout. It whispers, "I'm gone," and that whisper haunts them louder than any scream. You see, when you were always the first to message, when you checked in, forgave easily, gave chance after chance, you didn't win them. You trained them. You trained them to expect you, to take you for granted, to assume you'd always be there when their ego needed stroking. That's not love. That's emotional slavery. And today, you break that chain. When you become scarce, not as a trick, not as a tactic, but because you're finally pouring into yourself, you force them to feel your absence like a punch to the chest. Suddenly, they're not asking what you're doing. They're wondering who you're doing it with. Suddenly, the silence feels like punishment, even though you said nothing at all. Let me give you something hard to swallow. You were too much of a blessing for someone who saw you as a backup plan. They didn't appreciate you, not because you weren't good enough, but because you were always enough. Too available, too present, too giving. And now they need to feel what it's like when all that gold is gone. And it works. It always works. Not because you're manipulating, but because what is no longer accessible becomes valuable. Do you want to know why the busiest people are the most respected? Because their time is sacred. Their energy isn't on sale. And that woman who once texted every night, cried on the phone, sent long paragraphs explaining her heart. Now she's at the gym, running her business, traveling solo, posting sunsets and smiling without them. Not because she's faking it, but because she's finally living. And when that man sees it, he feels it, deep, confusing, heavy, because now he's the one checking your story. He's the one writing drafts he'll never send. He's the one wondering, how did I lose her? But guess what? You didn't go cold. You just got smart. You realize that your attention is a currency and you were handing out gold like pennies. Now you're done. You're not making him jealous. You're making yourself whole. And in that wholeness, you become scarce. And in that scarcity, you become unforgettable. This isn't about pretending. It's not about waiting for him to come back. It's about not caring if he ever does, because now you're the one who's gone, emotionally, spiritually, energetically. And when someone tries to return to a place they once abandoned but finds the door locked, that moment is louder than any goodbye. So hear me now. Don't respond instantly. Don't always be available. Let your energy be earned. Let your space feel sacred. Because when people feel they can lose you, they start treating you like someone who matters. And if you feel this truth in your bones, if you know it's time to stop being the air they breathe and start being the breath they miss, write this in the comments right now. I am not for free. Say it like you own it. Say it like you're done playing small. Say it to the version of you that stayed far too long. Lesson 4. Don't just move on. Resurrect. Become someone they can't even approach anymore. You want the truth. Healing isn't some aesthetic. It's not filtered selfies with fake smiles. It's not journaling your heartbreak just to post a quote 5 minutes later. This isn't about making him jealous. This is about personal resurrection. Full-blown, brick-by-brick reconstruction of the self. Not for revenge, not for attention, but because staying broken is no longer an option. Staying the same. That's the real heartbreak. There's a voice inside you, quiet but undeniable, that's been whispering, "It's time." Time to stop crying over someone who already let go. Time to stop shrinking yourself just to be tolerated. Time to stop wrapping your worth around the hope that maybe, just maybe, they'll come back. Because if you keep showing up with the same emotional dependency, the same insecurity, the same old wounds, then every text, every message, every attempt to reconnect will look like exactly what it is, a silent scream for validation. And no matter how calm you play it, no matter how subtle the reach out, they'll smell the desperation beneath it. And guess what? That smell is repulsive. But when you start rebuilding, really rebuilding, everything changes. The shift is subtle at first, silent but powerful. You walk differently, breathe differently. You become emotionally unavailable, not because you're playing games, but because you're finally too focused on yourself. And that energy, that self-respect, it echoes. Even if they don't see your story, even if they never call again, they feel it. Because energy doesn't need a Wi-Fi signal. It's broadcasted through your posture, your pace, your peace. Think of it like this. Imagine a house reduced to rubble, broken, forgotten. Months later, a masterpiece stands on the same land, modern, powerful, glowing from the inside out. Anyone who walks past can't help but stare. They remember what it used to be. They remember the ruin. And now they're stunned by the strength. That house is you. But this isn't about appearance. This isn't about dressing up the pain. That's just emotional makeup. Real transformation? It's internal. It's the calm you finally feel when you sit alone and no longer crave their message. It's the strength you built when no one was watching. It's the confidence that no longer depends on being seen, because now you see yourself. Personal rebirth is raw alchemy, turning the lead of your pain into gold. And it's messy, it's uncomfortable, it's lonely, but every moment you choose to keep going, to hit the gym instead of the chat box, to meditate instead of stalk, to invest in yourself instead of chasing closure, you get one step closer to the version of yourself that doesn't beg. She commands. As Seneca said, as long as you live, Keep learning how to live. This is that learning. This is the pain teaching you what comfort never could. Let me tell you something real. A girl I knew was dumped right after losing her job. She had every reason to collapse, and she did, but only for a moment. Then she got up, built her body, learned a skill, started a side hustle. Her life didn't change overnight, but she changed, slowly, daily, intentionally. A year later, guess who reached out? Him. And do you know what she did? She said, "Thank you." Because he was the catalyst for her becoming someone he could no longer even reach. That's not rare. That's not a fairy tale. That's a pattern, a path, a choice, and one you can make today. But you must see the truth. Rejection was never the end. It was the doorway to the version of you that doesn't get walked over anymore. The one who doesn't need a text to feel worthy. The one who doesn't flinch at silence. Make this practical. Write it down. What needs to change? Your body, your mindset, your income, your habits. Attack it. Every day. Not for them. For you. Because the woman who is reborn, she's the one who sets the standard. People come back when they feel the shift. Not because you asked, not because you waited, but because they sense they lost access. You're not accessible anymore. You're not that soft place they used to run to and leave again. You are steel now. Warm, but untouchable. And when they come back, and trust me, they do, now you're the one who decides. Not the same girl, not the same energy, not the same access. If this hit home, drop it in the comments right now. I rise from ruin. Let the world see it. Let yourself see it. Lesson 5. Silence isn't weakness, it's psychological warfare. Let's break it down hard and clear, my friends. Staying in contact after a breakup is the trap that keeps you stuck. It's the emotional leash that keeps you tied to someone who already let go. You think by texting, checking in, staying friends, or showing them your glow-up, they'll come running back. But let me say it loud for the ones in the back. What's always available is never valued. Never. You think you're staying strong by keeping that door half open, but what you're really doing, you're keeping them comfortable. You're the safety net, the emotional airbag, the warm little corner they know they can crawl back to when life gets cold. And as long as you're visible, liking, reacting, replying, watching their stories, they don't feel your absence. And if they don't feel your absence, they won't feel your worth. So let me ask you, why are you still feeding someone who left you starving? The most powerful move isn't the text. It's not the "I'm doing great" post. It's not even the sexy photo with a hidden caption. No, the real power move is absolute silence. No blocking, no unfollowing. That's easy. That's visible. That's still contact. I'm talking about true, clean, surgical disappearance, emotional blackout. When you do that, his imagination kicks in. And the male mind, when it doesn't have answers, it invents them. It creates stories. And those stories are louder, scarier, and more obsessive than anything you could say. Is she with someone? Why hasn't she messaged? Did she move on? Why doesn't she care anymore? That, my friends, is not indifference. It's panic wearing a mask, doubt in disguise, regret starting to bubble up. It's like when your favorite show suddenly stops airing. No ending, no updates, just gone. You check the app, nothing. You Google, still nothing. And suddenly you're hooked. Not because of what you're seeing, but because of what you aren't. That silence, it becomes addictive. You become the unfinished story, and there is nothing more intoxicating than a cliffhanger the heart can't resolve. And you don't have to announce it. Don't say, "I'm going silent." Don't drop poetic goodbye messages. That's noise. That's weakness disguised as strength. No, just go. Let your absence scream louder than your presence ever did. Let your silence be the haunting echo that follows him into every room he enters. Epictetus once said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Don't explain why you're disappearing, just vanish, gracefully, completely, no likes, no texts, no reactions, not even a breadcrumb, because when you deny access, you create curiosity. When you go quiet, his mind becomes a prison of questions, and no matter how confident he looks on the outside, he's unraveling inside, and it's not a coincidence. It's science, it's psychology, it's primal. I know a girl who was blocked everywhere, Instagram, WhatsApp, everything. And what did she do? Nothing. No fake accounts, no stalking, no breakdowns. She focused, trained, grew. Months later, he messaged her from a burner account. "Hey, how are you?" Not because he missed her Facebook posts, because the silence started to burn him from the inside out. So ask yourself this, while you're texting, hoping, checking his page, is he even thinking about you, or is he just enjoying the comfort of knowing you're still around? Take that away. Take you away, not the weak version of you, not the version that cried and begged. Take away the light he took for granted and rebuild it, brighter, somewhere he can't reach. While you're quiet, don't waste time waiting. Build something. Your body, your business, your peace, your power, because if you ever cross paths again, let it be as someone he no longer qualifies for. Let him wonder, let him spiral, let him search for you in everyone else and never find you again. Because silence is not a pause. It's a decision. It's your rebirth. It's your power. Now write this in the comments right now. My silence is my strength. Say it like you've burned the bridge. Say it like you're not going back. Lesson 6. Strength isn't what you show. It's who you become when no one's watching. There's a moment, not loud, not dramatic, not shared on Instagram, where something inside you just clicks. You wake up, and for the first time, you're not pretending to be okay. You are okay. You're not posting strength. You are strength. You're not checking your phone, hoping for a message. You're not replaying old memories. You're not hoping for some grand apology. You're not rehearsing what you'd say if they ever came back. You've stopped performing and started becoming. This moment is quiet. It's private. But it's the most powerful shift you will ever feel. It's when the need to be chosen dissolves and you realize you already won. Not because they came back. Not because they regretted it. Not because they finally saw your worth. No, you won because you remembered who the hell you were before they made you forget. You stop saying, "I miss him," and instead you whisper, "I missed me." You stop fantasizing about being loved and start focusing on being whole. You stop needing closure because you realize you were the closure. That's when healing gets real, not when you're still faking happiness through tears. Not when you're forcing a smile while your heart aches, but when peace finally feels like home and not a mask. Real strength doesn't scream, it doesn't post, it doesn't need to prove. Real strength is silent, it's still, it's grounded. It's the kind of power that doesn't react because it's too busy rising. You want to know what real power looks like. It's choosing not to text him on your birthday. It's ignoring that memory that used to break you. It's walking into the places you used to avoid. Head high, back straight. No fear. It's realizing that the version of you that begged, that chased, that broke down over someone who couldn't see your worth, no longer exists. And the best part? You're not doing this for revenge. You're not healing just so they'll see it. You're healing because you're finally putting you first. And that's the deepest form of love there is. You're not trying to be the better ex. You're not in competition, because true growth has no audience. It's personal, sacred, internal. This isn't a glow-up, this is a resurrection. You're building routines, reading books, hitting the gym not for a photo, but for your mind. You're journaling truths, cutting ties, saying no, setting standards. You're becoming someone your old self would be proud of, and someone your old partner can't even access anymore. And that's when the tables turn. That's when the phone starts buzzing. That's when the ones who discarded you try to circle back. But now, you're not waiting at the door. You are the door. The person who used to cry herself to sleep is gone. The person who used to beg to be seen, she's now too busy shining. Because you finally understand, healing isn't about getting them back. It's about making sure you never lose yourself again. If this chapter of your life has taught you anything, let it be this. Stop chasing. Stop proving. Stop hoping they change. Instead, change yourself. Not for them, for you, for the version of you that deserves everything they couldn't give. Now, take a breath and write this in the comments right now. I became who I was looking for. Say it like you mean it. Say it for the past you who needed to hear it. And it's not about becoming unforgettable to them. It's about becoming irreplaceable to yourself. Lesson 7. They don't come back. Because you call, they come back when you disappear. Let's set the record straight. People don't come back because you stayed in contact. They don't return because you kept showing up in their inbox, kept watching their stories, or kept reminding them you were still there. No, that kind of presence just makes you easy to ignore, predictable, familiar. And in human psychology, what's predictable stops being valuable. They come back when you disappear. Not when you say goodbye, but when your silence becomes so loud it rattles their peace. Not when you make a scene, but when your absence becomes a question they can't answer. They come back not for who you were, but for the new version they no longer have access to. You see, it's not the loss of love that gets to them, it's the loss of control. It's the realization that you're no longer emotionally available, that you're no longer waiting with your heart in your hands, that you're no longer offering yourself like a gift to someone who didn't know how to hold it. When you truly disappear, when you stop reaching out, stop explaining, stop being emotionally predictable, something shifts. You become a blank space in their mind, and the human brain hates blank spaces. So it starts filling in the gaps. Have they moved on? Why are they so quiet? Are they happier without me? Did they forget me completely? That's not indifference, it's curiosity. And curiosity, that's the first stage of obsession. Because we don't crave what we can still touch. We crave what we lost and don't know how to get back. And when you stop making yourself available, when you withdraw every piece of your emotional energy, that's when your absence starts to echo. It's not about making someone regret losing you. It's about becoming so rooted in your own transformation that you don't even notice if they do. Because the strongest version of you isn't the one hoping they'll come back. It's the one who realizes they don't even deserve front-row seats to your growth anymore. And if they do come back, and many do, something strange happens. They don't recognize you. They reach out looking for the version of you who needed their validation, who always replied, who couldn't let go. But that version, you buried them in silence. And what stands in their place now is someone who chooses, who decides, not someone who waits to be chosen. They come back when they feel the energy shift, when they realize they no longer have emotional access, when their words no longer spark a reaction. And that shift? That's what changes everything. You're no longer the one hoping they return. You're the one deciding if they're even worth a response, because you've outgrown the version of yourself that tolerated what they gave you. So don't break your silence just to remind them you're still around. Disappear to remind yourself that you've outgrown the need to be remembered. You don't need to post anything. You don't need to prove anything. You don't even need them to know you've changed. Just change, quietly, powerfully, permanently. And if they show up again, let them meet someone they can't read anymore. Someone who doesn't flinch. Someone who doesn't wait. Someone who decides. Now write this in the comments right now. I disappear to rise. Say it like a vow. Say it for the old version of you. Say it for the new one rising. It's not about them at all. It's about what happens when you stop surviving heartbreak and start mastering yourself. Lesson 8. You don't miss them. You miss who you used to be when you forgot yourself. Here's a truth most people run from. You're not missing them. You're missing the illusion, the fantasy, the hope, the comfort of being needed, seen, chosen. But slow down and ask yourself, were you really chosen? Or were you just available? Were you really loved? Or were you just convenient? Sometimes what we're aching for isn't even the person. It's the version of ourselves we became to feel loved by them. The softer, quieter, more forgiving version. The one who overlooked the disrespect, who let things slide, who kept showing up even when they stopped showing effort. You're not crying over them. You're mourning the you who betrayed yourself just to feel a connection. Let that hit. Because real healing starts the moment you realize you were not abandoned. You were the one abandoning yourself. So ask yourself honestly, do I miss this person? Or do I miss how I used to bend, break and bleed just to feel loved by someone who couldn't even see me clearly? You miss the nights you stayed up waiting for replies, the little highs of attention in a sea of emotional drought, the illusion that if you could just be better, calmer, more understanding, they'd finally give you what you were dying to receive. But that wasn't love. That was survival mode. That was you turning yourself into a doormat and calling it devotion. That was emotional self-harm dressed in hope. And here's what's powerful. That version of you no longer exists. The one who accepted breadcrumbs. The one who blamed themselves. The one who waited, begged, pleaded. Gone. You buried them the moment you chose self-loyalty over fantasy. And you're not going back. Because once you taste the strength of honoring your own soul, you lose all appetite for being tolerated. From now on, every time you catch yourself saying, I miss them, ask, do I really miss them? Or do I miss the feeling of being needed, even if it cost me my peace? You may feel nostalgia, but nostalgia isn't truth. It's memory mixed with emotion. It filters out the pain and plays the highlight reel. Don't fall for it. Because the truth is, what you really miss is the idea of who you could have been in a love that actually saw you, respected you, and stayed consistent. But that wasn't this. So don't chase ghosts. Don't resurrect old identities. You don't need to become the one that got away. You need to become the one who never goes back. The version of you who gave too much, stayed too long, and lost themselves in the process was the final sacrifice. You've paid enough. Now it's time to become someone your future self is proud of. Someone who doesn't confuse chemistry with commitment, who doesn't trade self-worth for temporary affection. Someone who doesn't flinch at being alone, because now you know that being alone is safer than being with someone who made you forget your own value. And if you ever ask yourself again, do I miss them? Remind yourself, no. I miss me. And that's exactly who I'm rebuilding, stronger, wiser, untouchable. So write this in the comments right now. I choose self-loyalty. Say it like you've made peace with the past. Say it like you're not chasing anything that made you abandon yourself. Lesson 9. You're not alone. You have yourself, and that's enough. You might feel alone right now, like no one gets it, like the silence is louder than it should be. But hear this, you are not empty. You are full of untapped fire, hidden grace, locked up wisdom, quiet strength, and wild dreams you haven't even begun to chase. The absence you feel isn't lack, it's space. Space being carved out for a new version of you to rise. Every single tear you cried, every morning you had to drag yourself out of bed, every night you sat wondering how you'd make it through, none of it was wasted. That wasn't weakness. That was the refining. That was the burn before the breakthrough. You weren't breaking, you were being shaped. Pain never comes to destroy you. It comes to reveal you, to force the real you out from behind the fear, the people-pleasing, the self-doubt. Pain is not the problem. Staying stuck in it is. Let yourself feel it, then let yourself grow through it. Because what's waiting on the other side of all this is you. The version of you who doesn't question their worth. The one who radiates without trying, the one who walks into any room like they belong, because they finally believe it. You've always had everything you needed, you, and that will always be enough. So no, you're not alone. You never were. You had yourself all along. And that's your power. You are your own home, your own healer, your own comeback. You don't need their attention to feel seen. You don't need their love to feel full. You've got your own. Keep walking, keep rising, keep becoming. Now write this in the comments right now. I am enough. Say it loud. Say it for the past, present, and future you. Like this video, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. And keep this in mind, your story doesn't end in heartbreak. It begins with rebirth.